Welcome to BOJTV's trending news for top stories in local, regional and international news, along with sports and local weather forecast. I'm Carla. Coming up in your local trending news, Jam Air to launch domestic service from Ian Fleming Airport to Montego Bay. Prime Minister predicts a drastic reduction in crime. Pillion succumbs to injury following motor vehicle accident in Grange Hill, Westmoreland. And Tourism Minister says the security audit of hotels and attractions island-wide are to be reviewed this week. Now the details. Jam Air Express will launch its scheduled domestic service between the Ian Fleming International Airport in Boscobel, St. Mary and Montego Bay on Wednesday. The flight will serve the Outaris area and its environs. The move comes after Minister of Transport and Mining, Robert Montague, earlier this year announced his domestic air services initiative to restart scheduled domestic flights in Jamaica. Jam Air currently has scheduled services between Kingston, Tinsampen, Montego Bay and Negril. One motorcycle pillion is dead and the rider admitted to hospital in serious condition after the motorcycle on which they were travelling collided into a motor car along a section of Grange Hill in Westmoreland on Sunday. Dead is Romaria Campbell, labourer of Frome District. Reports are that about 6 p.m. Campbell was travelling as a pillion on a motorcycle being driven by Alex Patterson, security guard of the same address. On reaching the vicinity of Tollgate Square, Patterson lost control of the motorcycle, which collided into a Noah bus, which was travelling in the opposite direction. Both men were thrown from the motorcycle and sustained injuries. They were rushed to the Savannah Lamar Hospital where Campbell was pronounced dead and Patterson treated and admitted. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett said the security audit of hotels and attractions island-wide, which was undertaken by the tourism production development company TPDCO, will be reviewed this week. Minister Bartlett also stated that the issue of safety and security is very important to the government, and he hopes to have further discussions with the JHTA as it relates to the recommendations, and together they will craft the new architecture in Jamaica. The minister was speaking at the 58th Annual General Meeting of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association held in Montego Bay, St. James on the weekend, and said the audit is completed and should reach his desk this week. In the meantime, Security International security expert Dr. Peter Tarlow enhanced the minister's statement by adding that the document is expected to contain a complete list of findings and recommendations on the way forward as the government seeks to ensure that Jamaica remains safe and secure for visitors as well as locals. The St. Andrew police are reporting that 2 alleged gunmen who were shot and injured when they challenged members of the security forces in a shootout at a section of the parish yesterday morning have now succumbed to gunshot injuries. The lawmen say 3 9mm pistols and several rounds of ammunition were also seized, and also both deceased still remains unidentified. Reports are that shortly after 6 a.m. the police received information that a group of armed men were robbing persons at a section of the Hall's Delight area known as Constitutional Hill. On reaching the location, the men were intercepted in a stolen motor vehicle and they fired upon the police. The fire was returned and the men ran into nearby bushes. After the shooting subsided, a search of the area led to the 2 men being found suffering from gunshot wounds and 3 illegal firearms seized. They were taken to hospital where they were treated, but they later succumbed to their injuries. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness is confident that his administration will drastically reduce murders in his country, even as he acknowledged that the island has a very complicated social construct. Mr. Holness, who was speaking on Monday in Cayman, said that the government is committed to bringing crime under control without making a trade-off in relation to human rights. Mr. Holness told his audience our crime situation is indeed a challenge for the country and a threat to our economic success, but we will not be daunted. Jamaica has a very complicated social construct as it relates to dealing with the issue of crime because much of the crime in Jamaica is generated by poverty. But we also have an element to consider, and that is also violence, and what is also a culture of violence. So in treating with a crime, it is just not a policing, it is the economy, it's schooling, it's a parenting, marketing, it's the media and what it promotes. So it is a very complex mix of solutions that have to be preserved. He said as the country moves to deal with the situation, it has had to deploy emergency measures in the form of a declaration of state of emergency, adding, "We have used this as a tool in an amazing way because though it is clearly the mobilization of force, we have used force without violence, and there's clearly been no reports locally or in the internal media of abuse of human rights in suppressing criminal activity in Jamaica." Those were your top stories making local trending news. Now join us for news from across the region, as well as our international story, sports and local weather forecast. From across the region. Law enforcement authorities in the Cayman Islands have partnered with Crime Stop Jamaica in their bid to solve the 9-year-old murder of a Jamaican Courtney Spence in Grand Cayman. According to Crime Stop, Spence, who was 32 years old at the time, had finished working and was sitting in his truck about 11 p.m. when he was shot dead. Detectives from the Cayman Crime Stoppers and Royal Cayman Islands Police Service are now trying to locate Spence's friends and acquaintances that were living in the Cayman Islands when the murder occurred, but are now residing in Jamaica. They're also interested in speaking with any Facebook friends of Courtney. Anyone with information on the murder of Spence is being urged to call Crime Stop Jamaica at 311. In addition, they may also submit a tip to Cayman Crime Stoppers at www.crimestoppers.ky. The authorities are also asking that the reference Operation Convoy be mentioned when passing on any information. Cayman Crime Stoppers is offering a substantial reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Spence's murder. In international news, a man who claimed to be a substitute teacher and survivor of a school shooting in Texas in 2018 never actually worked at the school, officials say. David Briscoe told news outlets he had protected students from harm while working at a Santa Fe high school where 10 people were killed. The Texas Tribune revealed the truth behind his false claims on Monday, but not before CNN, Wall Street Journal, and others had published his lies. Mr. Briscoe told CNN at the time he had been teaching English when he heard screams and gunshots. He said he had barricaded his classroom door with tables and desks, turned off the lights, and telling his students to get down. On Monday, Texas Tribune journalist Alexandra Samuels revealed Mr. Briscoe had contacted her in April 2019 to do a follow-up piece in light of the recent suicides by mass shooting survivors. She said she spoke to him on the phone for 31 minutes, during which he claimed to have quit teaching after the massacre and had become depressed. He said just knowing that there's blood on the walls meant he could not go back to school. The insane story roused her suspicions, and the journalist contacted the local school board, who confirmed no one of his name had ever worked in the district. Over in our sporting report, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Olivia Granger says Jamaicans should celebrate with the Sunshine Girls as they embrace the news that Jamaica has advanced to number 2 in the world netball rankings. The International Netball Federation INF announced yesterday that Jamaica overtook England to claim the spot, with Australia being ahead in the number 1 position. Ms. Granger said the Sunshine Girls, by virtue of their consistent performance, especially over the past 2 years, fully deserve to advance in the world rankings. We are number 2 now, and we have a number 1 in our sights. The minister expressed gratitude to the entire Netball Jamaica team. Jamaica Express will launch its scheduled domestic service between the Ian Fleming International Airport in Boscobel, St. Mary, and Montego Bay on Wednesday. The flight will serve the Outaris area and its environs. The move comes after Minister of Transport and Mining Robert Montague earlier this year announced his domestic air services initiative to restart scheduled domestic flights in Jamaica. Jam Air currently has scheduled services between Kingston, Tinsampen, Montego Bay, and Negril. On our local weather forecast, insignificant feature, a high-pressure ridge across Jamaica. The high-pressure ridge is expected to briefly weaken by midweek as a trough enters the area. On Friday, the ridge is projected to rebuild across Jamaica. Hazy conditions are expected to continue for the rest of the week. The forecast for this morning will see mainly fair skies and hazy conditions. During this afternoon, possible isolated showers across some hilly inland areas, otherwise generally fair and hazy. Tonight, mainly fair. Maximum temperature expected for Kingston as well as Montego Bay today is 35 degrees Celsius. That was BOJTV's trending news, your top local, regional and international stories, as well as sports report and weather forecast. Until next time, I'm Carla. Thanks for watching.